So, Mark, did you see that video of the guys walking at the airport and somebody played a mean trick on them and they switched the direction of the moving walkways? They shouldn't all be headed in the same direction, but I love how they just keep going.
I don't know, like when they stepped on, it was like, oh, I don't want to look like an idiot, so I'm going to keep walking, where other people were like, wait, this isn't right. I'm going to go the other way. But it reminds me of this time when we were living in New Jersey. We went to like a Jets Giants preseason game or something. I was probably like 8 at the time. And my dad went down a level to grab a beer for him and my mom, like right before they stopped serving. And we go back up on an escalator, and they had switched it to they were both going down now because it was like near the end of the game. So they wanted for exit traffic or whatever. And we didn't see another way to get up easily. So we started walking up the escalator. My dad handed me a beer. This is so 90s that he has like an 8-year-old carrying a beer while he carries a beer. We keep tripping, banging our shins and stuff, spilling beer. We get up there. It's like a third of the beer is gone. And then we get up there, and then we see like a handicap roundabout circular walkway like 20 yards past where we were looking. And we felt like such idiots.
If I started going down that, I think I would have just kept going myself. I would have just taken on the mission and kept doing it. I would have been exactly like those guys.
I saw this one woman once. She walked into the glass at the mall of a Hallmark store. Instead of the door, wasn't paying attention, walked right into it, fell backwards, got up, turned around, and walked out of the mall.
So cruising has become such a popular way to travel these days. It's growing, more ships coming online, more itineraries coming online, and more people going on cruises for the first time. One of the rules on cruise ships that they tell you is to keep the patio door closed. And some of that's for air conditioning, but also you don't want to leave it propped open because birds could come in or wildlife or something. Yeah, this video shows exactly that. What I love is that he was running into the room to close the back door, which probably is not what you want to do because now they're stuck in there. I would have just opened that door, saw what was going on, closed it, and let them deal with it. Everything's got to be full of crap at this point. I mean, how much nonsense is all over all their stuff?
Yeah. I mean, we can't play the video with volume on the channel, but it definitely watch it. I know Sean will link to it. Watch it. It's pretty hilarious. But then they leave like the hallway door open and birds are flying out in the hall. It's like, no, you got to close that too. Get in there with a big sheet and try to shoo them out. But yeah, I have to imagine that they're going to be held liable in some way for this. Like she's saying, oh, you better get, free room for this. And it's like, no, it's your fault. I don't know why there's no screen. Yeah. There should be a screen on the door. It's probably not, probably not great because of wind and everything, but it'd be nice if there was a screen there. But yeah, if you leave that open, you're to blame.
Isn't that what's going on in our society in general? It's just like something goes wrong and we're going to blame them, give us something for it, even if it's our fault. I would have just laughed at this. Clearly I would have just closed the door and asked the crew to help me get rid of the birds. But at the end of the day, you just laugh at it. You made a mistake. It happened. And you have a good story to tell. Yeah, my mind would not have gone to asking for a free room. Another huge story this week are the tragic fires in Los Angeles. And we've all seen it play out on TV. Devastating. I mean, just burning through parts of Pacific Palisades, other areas of LA. Those who know the geography know that this is just a terrible tragedy and huge amounts of buildings and people's lives lost. And I think that should never be minimized. My father's house burned down a few years ago in the Paradise, California fire. And it's utterly devastating to lose everything that you own. And I don't feel like even from the sidelines, we really understand that. But we have something to talk about in regards to that. Airbnb, when this all started, initially was denying claims for people trying to cancel when they were close to the fire area. Now, after some backlash, Airbnb backtracked. But we've seen this with other disasters where you contact them and they say, no, you're not getting a refund and you got to fight for it. And it's just a reminder that they are very different than hotels, and keep that in mind when you're booking them.
Yeah, I know we talked about this in more depth on the longer travel podcasts on Monday, and it's just something to be aware of. And, that's the pain point because you're dealing with a call center employee that, isn't in the area, doesn't know what's going on, probably in a different country. Where at a hotel, at least you can get to the hotel you're staying at. They are enveloped in the area. They understand what's happening in real time. And even, there might be better in tune. Their social media team might be better in tune to what's happening. Just better communication all around. Where we've seen this with Airbnb, on top of the fees and the cancellations last minute and all this stuff and the customer service issues they've had. This is just another thing to worry about. Like, nobody expects a natural disaster or something crazy like this to happen when they have a travel booked or when they're staying there. and you definitely don't want to pay for something you can't use. There's a disconnect. Usually they end up eventually getting there. It's just sad that it takes all this emotional toll on people to get to that point, and then a public outcry. And I wish they were a little bit quicker on their feet in addressing these things.
So let's move on to some good news, or what some people thought was going to be good news. The Venetian has now officially joined World of Hyatt. That happened a few days ago. And when they initially announced this partnership last year, there was a lot of details left out. And now we got a lot more of the details, specifically how they're going to treat Hyatt elite members and guests when they come, plus what are the value of Hyatt points at Venetian. And Mark, none of the answers to the above are good.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. I mean, we thought Mr. and Mrs. Smith was bad. This is worse. And I'm not too surprised. I was hopeful. I was hopeful it would be something like the MGM setup with Bellagio, maybe a category, 5, something like that, maybe category 6. And that would make sense on really busy weekends. But this is very dynamic, just like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But even at a lower level, I think Mr. and Mrs. Smith was like 1.2 cents on the low end, went a little bit higher than that at times, where I saw some that were under a penny a point per night, which is just terrible. You're not getting any perks. At least at Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're getting some perks. There's no breakfast for globalists. All award stays get the resort fee included, so that's kind of nice. But globalists don't get it on paid stays, which they do at other hotels. So there's not much here. But with IHG pulling out and saying they never made a dime, essentially, off of this partnership, it didn't really drive any revenue for them long term. I could see why it would be set up this way, where Hyatt's not going to come in and be like, all right, let's do the same thing and let's lose money on this just to have the biggest hotel in the U.S. in our portfolio. That's not really going to work.
Venetian was built as a convention hotel next to the convention center. It has a giant convention center of its own. All the rooms are suites, so they're like 700 plus square feet. And so this is actually really great for convention goers, people with expense accounts, businesses paying for them. They can still earn points. They probably don't care as much about the breakfast. For leisure travelers, there's going to be a huge choice there because you are giving up a lot as far as benefits go. And then, redeeming points, it seems like there's really no scenario where that makes sense value-wise, given what you can get for Hyatt points elsewhere. But there's one perk you didn't talk about, Mark, and that is the discounted gondola tickets. I know that was getting me to book it. That got me so excited.
It's like the Link High Roller freebies from Caesar's Diamond. Oh, okay. Ooh, let's get excited. I mean, there was some people like pointed out 4th of July weekend when the cash price was like $700. It was still showing at like 32,000 points a night. So there will be times, but you could probably book the Rio for like 10K. So, is it worth that much more to you? I don't know, not to me, but there's plenty of times where you can book these rooms for $200 to $300. If you have an FHR credit from your Amex Platinum card, $200 credit every year, you could use that towards it. You get better perks than what you get with Hyatt, and you're only paying $100 out of pocket or whatever it be. So those are things to consider. I think it's good if you're booking, paying cash. At least you can earn Hyatt points. That's the one plus out of this. The problem is you do have to book directly through Hyatt. So if you are a gambler in their rewards program, you probably get better rates there. So it might be a moot point to you. But if you're just like coming for a business thing or, leisure stay, you don't have any ties to it, you want to earn Hyatt points and stay on the Strip, if the price is right, this could make sense.
And so the difference between Rio is that Rio is a Hyatt. And so just think of Rio as a Hyatt hotel, whereas Venetian is a partner like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I guess you can also get another brand on your Brand Explorer with Venetian. It falls under the same brand as Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So as long as you haven't done one of those, you can get another brand, which is going to be appealing to some people. But yeah, if you're going to have to decide if you want the Rio, if you want the Hyatt thing, Rio, all the perks, all the questionable stuff, you can check it in MTF Vegas for, I talked recently about my stay there and some of the issues there. Venetian, a much nicer hotel. So yeah, there's your trade-offs. I think this is good for Hyatt people only because we didn't have it before. And like you said, it probably wasn't realistic for them to give us the real perks.
Yeah, I'm not mad about the perks, but I wish there would have been like a category lock on it, and this just kind of scares me. We've seen this with Mr. and Mrs. Smith and now Venetian, that fully dynamic pricing, no set value or anything, no categories. And that kind of scares me to what the future, beholds. Are they going to be adding more partnerships and, claim that that's expansion when it's really not? Or do we see some type of dynamic thing? They're like, hey, this works really well. We're making good money here. Maybe we should do that with our hotels. I don't know. Just, it's too close to home.
So, speaking of Hyatt, let's talk some credit card news. There's some new offers on the Hyatt credit cards, both the personal and the business. On the personal side, you get 65,000 World of Hyatt points. That's split 35K after 3,000 in spend. And then you can earn another 30K by earning an extra point per dollar on up to 15K in spend. And then on the business card, you have a 60,000 point offer, but you can also get a free night cert after 15K in spend. So that looks pretty good on the business side. The personal side, it's normally 60K, right? So not great considering everything that you have to do for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish Hyatt would get out from under this setup. I hate the 15K. I mean, the 15K isn't bad because most people or a lot of people are going to spend that to get the free night cert with the card that you can earn. So at least, it works in with that. You're getting the free night cert plus the extra point per dollar. I wish they would just go back to like a 50,000 point sign up bonus after 3 or 4 grand and spend. It would be so much better. Or even remember the days of 2 free night certs up to category 7. How nice would that be to see again? And it's crazy because that's 60K. I mean, it only took like $1,000 or $2,000 in spend back then, but it could go higher than 60K depending on peak or non-peak, but it would be cool to see that brought back for a bit. I think people would be excited for it. We saw the 5 free night cert offer too, which was a lot better than this, I think, if you could use them. So I would focus on the business card. I think that this is the best offer we've seen on that. The free night cert is the not having one with the business card, either for the annual fee or a way to earn it through spend, has been like kind of the black mark on that card. So getting one in the first year is kind of nice. It's the better of the 2 cards. If you're spending towards globalist status, you earn the elite nights a bit quicker. So I think it's a good option. Approvals have been hard for that card. So just be aware of that.
Annual fee on the regular card, $95. On the business card, $199. Just keep your eye out for better. Come on, Hyatt, bring back the 5 free nights. Talking about the old days, Mark, it used to be if you were a top tier with Hyatt, when you got the credit card, you got the 2 free nights, but in a suite guaranteed. Those were really the days back then. And you could do a diamond match just to get the status temporarily for when you applied for the credit card. That was travel hacking at its best. I love it, but not anymore. One more thing related to Chase and Hyatt is these quarterly spending offers, the My Bonus offers. These are targeted offers that are sent out for a variety of different Chase cards. And luckily there's a link, and we'll put a link in the description, but you can actually check if you're targeted. And some people, a lot of my cards had a 10,000 bonus points, some Chase travel thing that I'm not even worried about. But some cards are getting 5% or 7% back in grocery stores, restaurants, gas stations. My World of Hyatt card did have a 5x back on up to 1,000 in spend in those categories. So definitely check all of your cards, see what you got, even if you didn't get an email or see it otherwise.
You should probably get an email. Most people did, but not everybody does, or it comes later. So it's easy to check the link. And I haven't gotten a 5X or 7X on a card in a while. Used to get them at least on one of my cards each quarter. So it seems like they're focusing more on the Chase travel. For most people, it's not going to make sense unless you were going to spend cash on travel anyway. Then this 10,000 or 20,000 points that they're offering could make a little bit of sense. But those 5X offers are really sweet. If you get them, on 1,000 spend, that's easy points for a lot of people in gas and grocery and stuff like that, Amazon. And this is on top of the Freedom 5 times rotating category. So it's something different. Definitely check your cards each quarter. The easiest way to do it is pull up your Chase account online. So you have all the cards listed with the last 4 digits. Then go to the link and you can just quickly put your last name, zip code, and the last 4 digits and go one by one through them. And you should be able to knock it out in a couple minutes.
Another tip you had on Travel On Points this week is how to use the United TravelBank credit for the IHG Premier card. And as a reminder, you get $50 a year in credit split up over $25 increments, not a ton here, not a huge amount of money, which makes you want to figure out ways to extend it because it's only good for 6 months each credit is. And there is a little overlap where you could use both of them, but you have a good trick on how maybe you can extend it out, plus how to use it and redeem the TravelBank credit. TravelBank is great. A lot of us use it for Amex Platinum stuff. I really enjoy having that credit. They show you the expiration. It's a pretty good system, but there are some limitations.
Yeah, these expire, within the 6 months. So if you get them on the first of the year, they're going to expire by July 15th. So there's that 15-day overlap. Although the new credits, because they come every 6 months, the first 6 months, second 6 months, but the new credit always comes like the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th day instead of on the first, which is annoying. So you only have like a week and a half of overlap if you don't use it from the previous quarter. If you have a United flight, just use it, get rid of it. But if you don't, you can let it stay. And then when you have them both stacked for $50 for that day, try to find a flight that costs you around $50 one way. Look for like, hub airports to other hub airports, shorter flights, things like that. Google flight search quickly, different routes, different days, pull up the like calendar view, and you can try to find something that's $50, select only United, things like that. And then you can book the flight, wait 24 hours, then cancel it, and you get a travel credit that's good for a year instead of, that one expiring in a couple days and the other one 6 months. So you can do that. Don't throw money on top of it, maybe a couple bucks here or there, but don't book like $100 flight, because then you're locking up $50 of your own money for this. And that could be locked up for a year. And then if you don't use it, you just lost that money chasing $50. So try to find a flight right there around, $45 to $55, somewhere in that range if you can.
Yeah, we've all done that. We've all chased a deal, done something smart, and then cost us money in the end where we didn't redeem it. That way, at least if you don't put your own money in there, at least if the voucher expires in a year, you didn't lose more on top of that. You didn't pay to get this perk. Sometimes we've done that. I've done that in the past where I paid to get a perk. It cost me money for the thing that I was trying to take advantage of. So moving along, Flying Blue, Air France KLM's program, one of the better ones over the years. They have a lot of transfer bonuses, and I find that I've used them in very specific circumstances, but they've served a great purpose. But they've been devaluing a lot lately. A lot of changes happening, including to their economy saver awards to Europe. I think they went up 25% from 20,000 to 25,000. Some other increases in business class as well. And this was just an overnight devaluation with no notice, right?
Yeah, because I was actually looking for flights. I found, for the trip I talked about on Monday's show of, our family. And the only thing I could find back that was decent was $20K on Air France from Paris to Detroit nonstop. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. I'm kind of tired. I'll book it in the morning. Get up this morning, and Jenny in the top Facebook group posted, hey, I think awards went up, and sure enough, I go search that award and it's 25,000. All economy savers are 25,000. It looks like business on Air France or KLM went from 50K up to 60K from the US to Europe. So that's a big jump, 20%. The other like partner business awards went up between like 1,500 and 5,000, depending on route, because each individual route was priced differently. They did it weird with Flying Blue, so it's kind of hard to tell you exactly what that's going to be. But that one's not as big. It's mainly the economy flights we're seeing on their metal and on other partners, and then business really hits hard after they just like a year ago dropped it down to 50K.
Yeah, Flying Blue, I mean, one good thing is those transfer promotions, so you can juice up your miles 40% more quite often. They also have the promo awards, which is something to look forward to because they do discounted routes a lot of times to the US. Like I know a few years ago, I flew from Paris to Detroit in economy for 10,000 miles one way on a special promo route, and they still do have those, and that can be great. And I think I used a transfer bonus, so it cost me like 7,000 Amex points to fly one way from Paris to Detroit. So, even though with these devaluations, it's still a program people should keep an eye on. Don't transfer points there without a use for them, though. And they also have high fuel surcharges on many routes. So that's something to take into consideration as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to book with Virgin now, which has even higher fuel surcharges on that route.
So talking about the fires a little earlier, AA is doing something great again. They did this with the Maui fires last year. They're doing it again, where they will give you 10 American Airlines AAdvantage miles for every dollar you donate on donations of $25 or more. This isn't a play to get great value as far as, you're going to get back everything you put in as far as miles goes. But if you're going to donate anyway, this can be a great way to kind of juice your balance up a little bit and, get something good for the good that you're doing.
Yeah, if you're going to donate to the cause anyway, I think this is nice that you get a little kickback for it. It's not as good as the thing we see them do once a year where it's like, 25x or 50x if you're a card holder, something crazy like that. But, you will lose a little bit of the write-off because you're getting miles back, something to talk to your tax professional about how to value those, what to write it down at. But if you were going to give for Maui fires, this is a great opportunity to do it and then get some AA miles in return. It goes to Red Cross. So it's a great cause, and I give them credit. We bash American Airlines quite a bit, but they've done this twice now, and I think it's good for them, and it spurs people's willingness to give, which is good.
And now for some cool this photo from Andy's travel blog. Andy Luton, he's been on boarding area for a long time, but he's a great photographer. I've been seeing his pictures forever. He's a great follow as well. Has this picture from Mount Taranaki in New Zealand. And just a reminder how beautiful New Zealand is. You can go from waterfalls to glaciers to mountain lakes to, I mean, just so much topography there. And I love when a traveler catches a photo that just instantly makes you want to be there.
Yeah, and I think this is cool because we see so much with, social media these days, how they take famous picture places and kind of distort them and make it seem like it's better than it is. What is it, like Gates of Heaven, where they take a picture with a mirror to make it look like there's water leading up to it, which isn't the case. So maybe you spend the time and effort going there, and then you wait in line for a couple hours and you didn't even realize that that wasn't the true scene that you're seeing. So I thought this was worth highlighting. One, like you said, great photographer. Definitely follow him on Twitter. He comes up with some amazing photos. But two, it's a place that actually lives up to the hype, or is actual what you get what you expect. So very cool to see.
Who travels to see real things that are actually what they're supposed to be? I thought we're supposed to travel just to see the fake things that we create for the internet. I don't know.
What's that other one where they like hang off a rock to look like they're barely on a cliff, and then they zoom back and there's like, ground a foot below them or something? Is that in Brazil? I forget.
I don't remember, but it's so insane. So many insane travel trends. And then you see a picture like this and you're like, yeah, that's what it's about. Finding those places. And Andy, man, we've given him so much love here, but the guy is a fantastic photographer. He's not just taking his iPhone like us and taking pictures places. He does a great job. So much cool on his stuff, and check him out. In the meantime, let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about. The Airbnb policies, has that made you hesitant? The new Hyatt offers, what were you targeted for from Chase and those spending offers? Leave a comment. On Monday, we did our whole podcast, so make sure you check that out. And we do 2 shows a week, so we'll be back in a few days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.